There's great power in prayer, even more in group prayer. This is the foundation of the Unity Movement and our church. Our prayer ministry has close to over 100 active participants supporting our community and the world. There's great synergy in us coming together consistently. Beyond our own personal experience with prayer, there's so much evidence to its impact on the collective consciousness. The Maharishi effect shows that if 1% of the population meditates, it produces measurable improvements in the quality of life for the whole population. The world is going through a lot of change. We must go to the unchanging realm of the divine and help co-create the best outcome for the most impactful event taking place. Let's join together to support this cause. Thank you for joining us. Your presence, your consciousness is summoned for humanity at this time. There's great power in prayer, even more in group prayer. This is the foundation of the Unity Movement and our church. Our prayer ministry has close to over 100 active participants supporting our community and the world. There's great synergy in us coming together consistently. Beyond our own personal experience with prayer, there's so much evidence to its impact on the collective consciousness. The Maharishi effect shows that if 1% of the population meditates, it produces measurable improvements in the quality of life for the whole population. The world is going through a lot of change. We must go to the unchanging realm of the divine and help co-create the best outcome for the most impactful event taking place. Let's join together to support this cause. Thank you for joining us. Your presence, your consciousness is summoned for humanity at this time.
Good morning, Unity. Are we live? Okay. A big welcome to everybody. We're glad you're joining us today. I know it's kind of a dreary day, but we're going to brighten it up right here and now. I want to say a special welcome to those of us who are joining us online. We're glad you're being a part of the experience that way. And also, if you're a first-time visitor here, a very special welcome to you. And we hope you find this to be a fulfilling experience. And we encourage you, if you so choose, to fill out a guest card that you can get outside in the lobby at the back table. Or if you're online, you can go to the website under the About Us tab and fill it out that way. Today we're going to be learning about leading and following, and I'm sure Neusom is going to have some very enlightening words about all that. And we've got a special song with Tim and Lola and Donna, and we invite you to listen and take it all in.
Rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Peter, John, and James could never be the same after they heard him say, I'll make you fishers of men. Rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Cast your nets aside and join the battle tide. He will be your guide to make you fishers of men. He said, rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. He said, rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Jesus showed us all the way we must begin to share the love and light and know the Christ within. He said, rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. He said, rise and follow me, I'll make you worthy. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Rise and follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. Thank you. Please join us now as we dismiss the students to their classes in the welcome song. Praises of your people, so we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Welcome into this place. Welcome into this golden vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Let us pray. We invoke the God of unconditional and unlimited love into our hearts and minds. Through grace, we hear the subtle whisper of the divine leading and guiding us along our life's journey, one step at a time. We are assured as we seek, so shall we find. We pray and meditate not to change the divine, but to align our thoughts and feelings with the highest vibration of divine goodness and peace. And we pray for others, including the names in this prayer box, to lift our awareness to the spiritual realm, realizing there is always a spiritual truth and solution unfolding in ways beyond our imagination. As we surrender our will to the universal spiritual truths, we live from faith, compassion, and humility. We give freely and go in service, bearing witness to the universal truth of unconditional love. We are grateful for and uplifted by this illumined perspective and rest in unshakable peace. And so we let it be. Amen.
Now begin to breathe and notice the breath. We let the breath be our guide inward. As we breathe in and breathe out, we prepare the mind to quiet, become still, to be receptive. When we listen, as the body quiets, as the heart opens, as our bodies relax, we listen. The still small voice is in there, is speaking. So we listen. As we continue to go deeper, to listen ever deeper, may we hear that still small voice of knowing. And may we meet it with wisdom in faith, with love and strength. Let us listen for the voice in silence.
Said you would supply all my needs according to your riches. I have but to ask, and I shall receive. To go from here and share this love you gave to me, to show someone who's lost and help them find their way, the way to truth and faith, so they can be free like me, free like me. Lord, we are your love. Lord, we are your peace. Lord, we are your joy. Thank you for this day. Give me thank you for this day.
Nice, really nice, thank you. Today, before I get started, I want to remind you that next week is the congregational meeting, and today you can also vote for the Leadership Selection Committee, the LSM. It's be on the counter out there. It's easy for you to find somebody out there to help you with it if you need it. So, today we're going to do something I haven't done much of in my time as the minister here. I was trained in this when I was at ministerial school, but promptly abandoned it, as is my way. So today, let me see if I can pick up the thread that was given to me a long time ago, which is called a metaphysical Bible interpretation. It basically is Unity's way of incorporating Christianity into its Eastern thought. Shorthand version. And basically what it says is that you take the stories that were in the Bible that you might be familiar with and give them a second glance by looking to see what there might be as an underlying meaning to those stories, the meaning that might be fitting for all of us in each of our individual lives instead of just a story of historical fact or allegory. That it indeed is something we could say, essentially it's called metaphysical interpretation, but it could also be called psychological interpretation or individualized interpretation of the Bible stories. And we were sitting around in our staff meetings and we thought, well, what better place to start than at the beginning when Jesus calls his disciples. Now in Unity, there is a concept which has been promoted for the 120 some years, longer than that now, that essentially each human being is a chip off the old block of the divine, is essentially the same as the divine in mind that is the mind that created the universe. Now when Unity uses the word mind, they do it with a capital M. There's no good way, in my opinion, to describe or encompass it in description that which has formed all of existence. Some people call it God. Some people call it the universe these days. Unity's phrase was the mind, with a capital M. This mind we also share. Our mind is part of the mind. And we make contact with mind with a capital M through our mind with a small m. And so in our mind, we share the same qualities as that one presence. So I was reading an old book. You can tell it's an old book because it's so small, but has big print. I'll read you a passage from that. For if you take a drop of water from the ocean, you know that it has the same properties as all the rest of the water in the ocean, the same percentage of sodium and chloride. The only difference between it and the ocean is volume. If you take a spark of electricity, you know that it has the same properties as the thunderbolt, the same power that moves trains and runs giant machines in factories. Again, the only difference is volume. It is the same with your mind and universal mind. The only difference between them is volume. Your mind has the same properties as universal mind. It has the same creative genius, the same power, the same access to all knowledge. Know this, believe it, use it, and yours is the earth and the fullness thereof. In the exact proportion that you believe yourself to be part of universal mind, sharing in all its power, in that proportion you can demonstrate the mastery over your own body and over the world about you. Secret of the Ages. I've been keeping it a secret, sorry. And so it doesn't stop there with that you share the same mind. Essentially, Unity's teachings, Charles Fillmore in particular, broke down what is in the universal mind into 12 powers. These are 12 attributes of mind, or someone else called them the 12 freedoms. But essentially, it's 12 aspects of mind that, when cultivated, allow you to have more of the power and the use of the one presence, one power mind as your own mind. And those are quite well described in some of the books that Charles Fillmore put out. He believed that that was his great contribution to the discovery of what is truth. And I'll just read them to you. They are faith and strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, and zeal, renunciation or elimination, and life. It's a handful, nothing we could do in 20 minutes. So let me talk to you about the first 4 disciples. Because to Charles Fillmore, the first 4 disciples, and all the disciples really, represent one of those aspects each. And so the first 2 to call were Andrew and Peter. Andrew and Peter were fishermen. They are in the boat. And in one gospel, Jesus says, hey, throw your nets off to the side, and they bring in a huge haul of fish. And then after that, he says, come and follow me. In another one, he just sees them in the boat and says, come follow me, and they do. And their 2 powers that they represent, one is, Andrew represents strength, and Peter represents faith. Now we'll jump over Andrew for a minute and come to Peter. Peter is also known as the rock, right? Petros, the rock. He was Simon first, and Jesus changed his name but called him Peter. Well, you know Peter as the one who is the rock you can count on, right? That's why when Jesus was being crucified or about to be tried for crucifixion, they said, hey, don't you look like one of his disciples? Aren't you one of those? He goes, no, that wouldn't be. You got somebody else. 3 times. Remember that guy that was the rock, always there, dependable. Not so. And in some ways, when Jesus appoints him the rock on which the foundation of this church shall be built, he is doing an affirmation. He is aspiring for him a type of presence and being which he did not have at the stage in which he got the name. You know, he's also the guy that jumps out of the boat when Jesus is walking on the water, right? He goes, hey, I think I'd like to do that. Can I come? Jesus says, yeah, come on out here. He gets out there part way and starts to sink. Faith isn't always perfect, which is good for us to know, because how many of us would have to attest that I have faith, but help my unbelief, right? I'm only so far good with this. And I would like to talk to you briefly about faith. We always believe. We always believe something. You're not faithless. You just believe things that aren't helpful if you feel like you're faithless. You're believing things that are less than the highest truth, less than the most powerful way of being, less than the most self-assured, less than the most accepting of the nature of things. You have the faith that comes from being a human being and seeing things that go light and dark, good and bad, winning and losing. We are naturally given that faith by our experience, and the faith that we're looking for is the faith to some degree, to an interesting degree, differs from what we see. Just as Peter's name differs from the type of person he was, that's the type of faith we're shooting for. One in which we're solid, one in which we're consistent, but also one in which believes the highest and best, that perceives that we share the same qualities as the one presence. That's the faith that we say, yes, I have faith, but help my unbelief. This is what needs to be cultivated to become a true disciple of the one presence, to become an apostle of that. And how do we do that? And essentially, is the practice of spirituality, which is to learn, read, study, etc., and then practice. And the practice is the practice of seeing what is possible rather than just seeing what is here. So if we were to talk about most people, we would go, yeah, I kind of doubt they have the one presence, one power mind. Just looking at them, they look pretty average to me. Many of them look less than average. 50% look less than average, on average. How is it they share the one presence, the one power? And as for me, I'm not feeling it either. The trick, the practice, is to allow that the stories that you hear, the words of encouragement you hear, the ideas that spark something in us, allow yourself to be inspired by that. Allow yourself to use your imagination to play with the idea that, hey, maybe this is true. I mean, where do I get my thoughts? Have you ever asked that? I mean, I stand up here most Sundays and go, where did that come from anyway? So I get to practice once a week, at least, going, I'm surprised what came out of my mouth. Have you ever had that? Oh, when it worked well, that is. When it goes well, when you come up with an idea that you had no idea how to understand. And how many of you have set an intention and it just came about? Have seen that? And when you have seen that, have you discounted it? Or have you gone, aha, there might be something to this? And it is that practice of looking for the truth with a capital T, that you too are part of that one presence. That you are the voice, the hands, the eyes, that can act out and create according to a higher vibration, can actually become that presence made manifest. And so we say things in unity to remind us of the truth, not to make it true, but to remind us of the truth, and we call these affirmations. And when the mind is given an affirmation, it will begin to believe it. So what you have fed into your mind over and over is what comes out of you. It is also what affects the subconscious, the automatic, ongoing, repetitive thought process. It's also a very creative process that hears what you want, or are saying at least, hears what you're saying and says, I shall make it so. It's a ridiculously obedient thing. If you repeat it to yourself continuously, it believes it. It becomes automatic. And that automatic mind is now working toward proving the very thoughts that you have fed it over and over. It continually works toward, invents, and looks for evidence to say yes to what you have told it. So if on a daily basis you said, I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor, I never succeed, the world goes against me, everything is, I'm going to go eat some worms. If you keep saying that over and over, it will eventually go, you're going to be that way, buddy. I'll let you know that you were right. As Henry Ford would say, if you believe you can, you can. If you can't, if you believe you can't, you can't. If you believe that you are a child of God and that you have the powers of the divine within you, and you begin to repeat those thoughts over and over and make a practice of thinking those thoughts, then the evidence will begin to build in that direction, and your faith will be stronger. And then you have to use the second apostles, Andrew, the power of Andrew, the power of strength, to hold steady, to continue, to not become wishy-washy, not be hearing other things and going, oh, well, maybe I'm, or maybe your smallest setback, you fall apart. Or you deny your success. Or you say, I've seen others as hateful and losers. I must be one myself. So it comes down to the next one, which is wisdom, is to judge wisely, to be very alert, like James, to what your mind is saying, and so that you can judge what you choose to repeat to yourself again and again. And if you repeat to yourself again and again something stupid, do not expect great results. This practice of telling yourself the truth, even when it doesn't seem to be evident yet, is just what Jesus did with Peter on this rock. Well, he did sink like a stone, but on this rock, I will build the church. And so, it's aspirational. Some of the things we have to say to ourselves in the beginning are aspirational. There's not evidence in the outer world for it yet. But if you buy into the idea that the mind is the creator of all that is, that essentially there was nothing, and then there was the thought of something, and out of that thought came the emanation of the universe. If that's a reasonable way for you to try to understand what no one can know, that perhaps that it is the thought that comes first and then creation, then it would also trickle down that today the thought you have will be the creation you have tomorrow. And so the practice of keeping your thoughts on what you want, not on what you don't want. That's why it's better to not complain. That's saying it out loud what you don't want. That's giving it air time, mind time. And you are possibly building agreement in the world out there as well. So now you have really tripled down on what you don't want. Complaining doesn't work. Well, maybe it does. And maybe you need to do it once and get it off your chest. But it's that repetitive complaining. How many of you have that? Know anybody? Not us, of course, but somebody else. Somebody else who just complains and complains and complains and complains. They're really fun to be around, aren't they? It's kind of like, they probably win most popularity contests just on being the biggest complainer. It's not likely, is it? So, what is happening with the choosing of these apostles and their representative in the story that unity is finding in the subtext of this story is that you need to have faith. And you need to be strong in that faith. And to keep that faith going, you need to be able to be wise in your judgments of how you interpret the facts of today, but also in what you allow to be repeated in your mind. To be clear enough that you don't get in the habit of complaining internally either, or finding the worst, or amplifying the feelings of fear, loss, doubt. They will be coming anyway, but they don't have to be fed. And if you can do that, there's one more ingredient that will help. At least one, but this one is love. And that you come from a place of generosity, of open-heartedness, of the presence of hoping and seeing the best for yourself, but also for all around you. That you hold not grudges, but you love. That even when they seem to be difficult, you do your best not to amplify that into hate or distaste or disdain. But remember somewhere in there that love is who you really want to be. And love can move the world, as the song says. Love has a better chance of allowing them to become who they want to be than judgment or scorn or disdain. That if you can remember often enough to love, then you begin to send out the vibration that, without even deciding what you want, brings back to you something lovely, something peaceful, something whole, something that makes you feel right and at ease and gracious and part of the whole and part of this world that makes it worth living. So if you can do those things, essentially hold faith, which is a strength, a wise strength, and then love, you're on the road to exercising that one presence, one power that is in you as you, that mind that can think a thought and create it. And this becomes the practice, to see how well you can use your mind to create a world that agrees with your highest intentions. I've been reading a book. I know that's rare. I've been reading a book about a friend of mine. And his name was Doug Tompkins. He was the same guy that started North Face, but he also started Esprit with his wife. And they were the sole owners of the company, and when he sold, he had about $150 million. He was a kayaking friend of mine. This is how I know him. And he was a great adventurer and a radically big risk taker. And he lived until he was 72 and then died of hypothermia on a kayaking trip. But from the time he was, well, he never finished high school. I was going to say by the time he finished high school, he was kicked out before he finished high school. He used his, I remember, I thought about this often. We were doing first descents in Chile, and we were camping out, and the sun had come up, and I was making breakfast for everybody, the three of us, and he's lying in his bed on his back, and I'm going, what is he doing? And his eyes are closed. And what he is doing, I'm really sure, though he never said it to me, is he's imagining and creating the future he wants. He's doing both inductive and deductive thought. He's using the power of his mind to create. Now, at the time, I was making $55 a day, and he was making $55 every breath. So it was working for him. And one of the things that happened was that as time went on, he went from being a person all about making money to all about saving the planet. And he created 10 national parks in Chile and Argentina, much of it with his money, all of it with his vision, all of it with his plan, and he talked to cowboys and presidents. Jane Goodall writes the thing on the back of the book. His friends are some of the most famous people in the world. He met the Dalai Lama. I mean, the guy did everything. He did it, in my opinion, not because he's just that much smarter, but because somehow, some way, he figured out that when you declare a thing to be true and you go for it with unbridled enthusiasm and gusto, and you don't take no for an answer, and you do everything you can in your power, and you do not tell yourself you're inadequate to the task, but yay, boy, I'm much better than this. If you do that, you can do way more than average. You can do amazing things. And this power that is latent within us sits here waiting to be used. But we're in the habit of being average. We're in the habit of following along and not thinking our own thoughts, but being swept up in collective consciousness that leaves us at a certain level of ability that we can go beyond if we will. And this is an innate power that each of us have. And I've stood close enough to it to know it exists. Though I may not be demonstrated in my own life to any percentage of what he did, this is proof to me that the concepts that unity is telling us, that we are part of the divine mind and can do greater things than this, as Jesus said, if we will just do it. And you'll have to develop faith. You'll have to develop strength. You'll have to develop wisdom. And you should do it with love, or it will probably not be satisfying. But you can do it. And that is the message of the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible. All of it is saying, you are a Christ waiting to wake up to be that. The call to discipleship is not to servanthood, but to being and doing that which only the divine can do through you. Let us pray. Let's start with the body again and relax. And let the thought that you and the one presence share the one mind, that your unconscious and the divine ability to create are related. We share the thought of and the power to create. We share invention, imagination, strength, zeal, life itself. We can be wise. We can be loving. We can order things and use our will to create. Let us realize that volume is adjustable. That we can have and do and be and experience more. In the beginning and in the present, let it be. And so it is. Amen.
I would go to the end of the earth. To me, that's what you're worth. Where you lead, I will follow. Anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow where you lead. If you're out on the road, feeling lonely and so cold, all you have to do, call my name and I'll be with you. Next train, where you lead, I will follow. Anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow where you lead. I always wanted a real home, flowers on the windowsill. But if you wanna live in New York City, honey, you know I will. Yes, I will. We never know how it's all turn out. Ooh, but that's okay, just as long as we're together. Ooh, we can find a way. Where you lead, I will follow. Anywhere that you tell me to. Where you need me to be with you, I will follow. Where you lead, I will follow. Anywhere that you tell me to. If you need me to be with you, I will follow where you lead. I'm gonna follow where you lead. Ooh, I'm gonna follow where you lead. I'm gonna follow where you lead. Follow wherever you lead. Gonna follow where you lead. I'm gonna follow where you lead. I'm gonna follow where you lead.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Wonderful day of music today. Today we are having a healing service right here in the sanctuary. It's being offered by the Unity Women of Color, and it will be led by Tammy Johns, who we all know and love too as well. So that'll be at 5 o'clock today in the sanctuary. And then on Saturday, January 28th, we are having a 12-hour silent meditation vigil in the sanctuary and online. We're asking that for 1 hour you meditate on the theme loving kindness. You can do that either here in the sanctuary or online in a little bit different way. We've done it by Zoom before, but this time you go to YouTube and key in, go in by YouTube, and then you have the option of picking from some meditations that you can listen to that will help you lead you into that hour of meditation. It'll be offered in English and in Spanish, and we really encourage all of you to participate in one way or another. What this world needs right now is loving kindness, and together as a group consciousness, we can make that happen, just as Neusom has just talked about. What we have in our mind, we can bring into creation. And then on February 5th, Sandy Rifkin is offering a workshop. It's about the divine intelligence within you, leading you to your higher state of consciousness. So that's on February 5th. And now we have Judy Crane coming up to tell us about the art exhibit.
Hi. I hope all of you have enjoyed seeing the artwork in the fellowship hall over the last 5 years. Karen Drucker and I are in charge of those exhibitions, and we thought a lot about this year and how much we want to encourage people to participate in things at the church, and particularly in the art show, since that's what we're involved with. So Excuse me. So we decided that we would have a pretty simple theme this year of the seasons of the year, and any medium is welcome there. And we would really love to have as much participation as possible. By any medium, I mean painting, photography, collage. Has to be two-dimensional. We have to be able to hang it. It has to be wired to fit on the wonderful hanging system that we have. So today we're taking in artwork for winter. And also Wednesday afternoon from 12 to 4, Karen will be here to take in artwork. And then we'll hang it Friday, and when you come next Sunday, we should have a beautiful show expressing feelings about winter, not just the scenery, but your feelings of what winter means to you. If you do photography, we have frames that the church purchased back when we began this that will hold an 11 by 14 photograph. So if you have a wonderful photograph that you've taken, you can have it printed at Walmart or someplace for only a few dollars. Have it done in an 11 by 14, and Karen and I will help you frame it in our frames so it can be part of the show. The next show, since we're a little late talking up this one, the next show will be our spring show, and that will be toward the end of April, and then we'll have a fall show, a summer show in July, and then a fall show. We have a flyer out there, and you can pick that up. It has all the information for the different shows. And I will be in the fellowship hall after the service today if anyone brought in work today, or if you have any questions. Thanks.
We love seeing the fellowship hall filled with art, so please, please come and participate. And now Don has something for us.
Friday, February 3rd, Mardi Gras. We ask that you would please sign up on the website or out in the lobby as soon as possible so we can get an accurate head count for the Cajun food that's being prepared. My previous announcement, I said that a requirement was for everyone to have beads and a mask. I was referring to a Mardi Gras mask. Just want to clarify that. Speaking of masks and beads will be sold for a total of $5. The money will go towards the youth to help them in their various endeavors. The youth yesterday came adorned in decorated masks. They are in display in the fellowship hall. Not yet for sale. It's a teaser. So please take a look at the masks. We need volunteers on the Saturday and Sunday after the party to help us kind of clean up. If you're interested, please get in touch with Linda Rosen or myself. Finally, Mardi Gras sayings. What happens on the float stays on the float. We don't hide crazy, we parade it down the street. She's wearing too much glitter, said no one ever. And finally, the pearl of wisdom, life is short, buy the beads. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now will the greeters come forward as we bless our gifts. Give yourself the gift of generosity. If this spiritual community feeds you and flourishes you and nurtures you, we ask that you give generously of your time, talents, and treasures. We have many ways that you can contribute financially. You can go online and donate to unitytriangle.org on the donate button. You can have your debit or credit card swiped in the hall here, or you can even be a consistent giver where you give every month the same amount and we draft your account. So we ask that you please consider your spiritual community as your spiritual home as you give generously. And now let's bless our gifts with the affirmation on the screens together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you.
We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. Let the love wash over us. Oh, we let it be. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.